You talk about influencers. These are influencers, and they're friends of mine. Jack Posobiec. Where's Jack? Jack, who's done a great job.
All right, Jack Posobiec, here we are back live, Human Events Daily. Folks, My Patriot Supply is a great partner of ours. We've really been working with them for years. I want to remind you to go and support them, support our sponsors, help us keep the lights on around here, help us be able to do the reporting that we've been doing, both here on the show, when we go to the White House, we've been giving you that direct access, and then also all around the world. Folks, September is National Preparedness Month. So it's the perfect time to ask yourself some questions, like how much food do you have on hand for emergencies? How would you get clean water if the tap went dry tomorrow? What would you do if a storm knocked out the power for a week? Well, if you're anything like me, you've got some room for improvement on this stuff. Luckily, our friends at My Patriot Supply are making disaster preparedness easier and more affordable than ever by giving you over $1,500 worth of emergency food and preparedness gear for free. They just launched their Preparedness Month Mega Kit, and it includes a full year of emergency food and a water filtration system that can purify almost any source, a solar backup generator, and a lot more. Here's the best part. If you go to mypatriotsupply.com/Jack, you can get 90 preparedness essentials totaling over $1,500 absolutely free. Head to mypatriotsupply.com/Jack for full details. That's mypatriotsupply.com/Jack. So I mentioned this in the last segment. I'm going to carry this over now because we're still looking to see the word, by the way, I just got from out of the White House is that everyone is standing by. They are in a holding pattern. They have not been called into the Oval Office yet for that announcement to take place. Again, we are going to take that live as soon as it starts, when it starts, here on Real America's Voice. But currently, everyone is in a holding pattern, so they are standing by to stand by, as we used to say in the military. Look, folks, I mentioned this last segment. I'll bring it forward here again. Tariff the Call Centers. So I got into it over this weekend. I had a series of tweets up. Not the first time I mentioned it, not the first time I mentioned it on the show, but I bring it again because President Trump was talking about the imbalance of trade that the United States has with India. And he was talking about the balance of trade in goods. And I wanted to go a step further and say, well, hold on a second, because there is something that the United States imports in a sense from India, but it's called services. Now, the services that we import are different. They function differently than goods that are imported because they're jobs, essentially. It's actually outsourcing. So the outflow of productivity and wealth from our country is given to India, and by the way, it's not just India, but yeah, that's what President Trump was talking about. You see this with the Philippines, you see this with a lot of other countries where you have these, Vietnam, China in some instances, but I think those are some of the biggest ones where you have this remote work situation. And my good friend Still Boneless had a pretty viral tweet about this where he and a number of people have had to outsource or train essentially their replacements over in the tech space, train their own replacements over Zoom to then get their jobs. And what happens is they then come in for a fraction of the cost of an American worker. So yesterday was Labor Day, and I said, what better way to help American workers on Labor Day than tariff the foreign overseas workers, the foreign remote workers, and the foreign call centers. And by the way, if President Trump was actually able to stop those spam calls that we get every day, which I think we all know are generally scammers from overseas, then I'm telling you something, if he wanted to run in 2028, 2032, Americans would demand that he run because that's how much people hate those things. This is something where, it goes beyond economics, where people are just sick of calling into a call center and the person that you're not speaking to is an American. We have so many people that are either they're full-time parents, or they're work from home, or they have the ability to stay home. We have so many people that are underemployed. It's so easy for them to work. I know someone who used to do this. to be able to work one of those jobs so you can just talk to somebody who has a little bit of empathy for an American and actually understand what they're going through. And I know what it's like when you're on the phone dealing with customer service, when you actually connect with someone that you know is an American and you don't have to ask them like, hey, what's the weather like over there in Bangalore or something, that they know exactly what you're dealing with and they know exactly what you're going through. It just makes everything go so much easier. It makes everything go so much easier. So this has been an issue, though, in the tech space and many other spaces for a long time. And certainly when tariffs first came up, this was not something technologically that was possible. But at the same time, I got a lot of pushback, and people are saying, oh, you can't do that. You can't tariff the call centers. Well, first of all, Jack, a tariff is on a good. These aren't goods, they're services. I'm like, guys, the Constitution says very clearly that the government has the ability to regulate foreign commerce. It doesn't say just goods. It says all foreign commerce and levies, duties, imports. The problem is you have these people who are word thinkers and they can't think beyond just that specific word. Okay, call it whatever you want. I don't care what you call it. The point is there's going to be a levy on this. The point is that you can't screw the American worker anymore by having people like my friend and others to go and train people who are going to be their own replacements that aren't even on this continent. I'm sorry, it's a loophole and it's a backdoor, and the American workers have been getting screwed for a long, long time through this. It's done. So throw a tax on that, whatever you want to call it, and we're done with it. We're sick of these companies being able to go in and use this foreign labor to force them to compete with Americans. We're done. And got to say, the great Dr. Peter Navarro retweeted what I was saying about this Tariff the Call Center. So we'll see, folks. We'll see whether or not this idea gets some traction. I think it's something that would absolutely help the American worker. It's absolutely something that's going to, and remember, this keeps the money. It keeps revenues in this country. And by the way, people will say, but Jack, what about the remittances? Oh, absolutely. Tax all the remittances. Why do we even allow remittances in the first place, I ask you? This is the America First policy. You keep the money home, you keep the money spent here in our country, and you prevent it from going overseas, making those countries rich while we continue to provide for the wealth, the financial well-being of our people and our communities. That's why we're getting hollowed out. It's because all of our money going into pockets like those of the Chinese Communist Party. Right back, Jack Posobiec, Real America's Voice.